Hey everyone, welcome to Cyber Therapy, the show where we get to talk to folks who are in tech and security and just get to know them a little bit better, the humans behind the tech. My name's Ashley. I'm Senior Marketing Manager at JupiterOne, and this is my co host, Tyler Shields.
How you doing,
Welcome,
Ash?
welcome,
Hello.
welcome. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
great to see you. How are you doing? Did you have a wonderful Fourth? Hopefully, you did something fun on the 4th of July.
Yeah, we went camping actually. It was quite nice. Really hot, but we also, it's Colorado, so, it stormed a little bit, thunderstorms, rained for 12 minutes, and then we got a double rainbow out of it. So
Oh,
it
you got a
was,
double rainbow. What does it even mean?
yes. Precisely.
Exactly. What does it even mean?
But yeah, what about you?
I spent quite a bit of time with my family at the pool, did a little golfing, and then of course, did the obligatory blow stuff up and try not to kill each other, which we were
Very
successful
nice.
at. We managed to have a lot of let's call them semi-legal explosives go off, and nobody was hurt. A little bit of damage to some pool nearby that had a lot of stuff that drifted down from the sky into the pool. But it was the pool of the owner of the land that we were on, anyways, and he was helping me blow
Okay.
stuff up, so it's his fault.
Okay.
But
Yes.
no, I also decided to wear my signed Carolina jersey
Yay.
today, so
Ah.
representing the Carolina Hurricanes. For those that don't know, I live in North Carolina, and JupiterOne is headquartered in North Carolina, so representing the local team today. Thought I'd change it up.
Yeah, I feel like I should be also supporting my local
No,
team since, the Avalanche
no, you
they just
shouldn't.
brought home the
No,
Stanley Cup. So,
no.
but I'm actually not from Colorado, so I'm forever Sharks fan and forever heartbroken. So,
Boo to the
it's just I
Avs.
accept it.
Boo to the Avs. Come back next year. The Canes are going to scoop the whole thing. We'll see. Um, all right. So, what do we got going on today? We're past all of the hubbub of RSA, of all these massive conferences in the cybersecurity world. Are we in a lull? Is this the lull of cybersecurity now that we enter for the rest of the summer?
It's the calm before the storm, I think. It's like
Oh,
really, we've got the summer camp,
oh
summer
yeah. Black Hat and
uh
DEF CON coming up.
for yes.
Hacker Summer
These
Camp.
guides, yes, thank you. I was blanking on the name that it usually goes by. But yeah, we'll and then right before that we will actually be at Reinforce. So we've got a little bit of a calm for now. Enjoy the summer weather before we go travel a lot again. So
Excellent. Well,
it's
anybody
gonna be a
going
good
to
time.
either reinforce Black Hat or DEF CON, please send us a message. We would love to meet with you. Ashley, I think, will be at all those events. And she will be
Yes.
present and doing interviews and talking to people and trying to hear more about life in the cybersecurity world and what it means to you. But on to more important things, and I mean much more important things, because we have a super cool guest today. Our guest is just such an amazing background, quite frankly. His background spans over 20 years of technology and certainly cybersecurity focused reporting, media, influencer, content creation, author. Um, so why don't we are we ready to bring him on, Ash? We good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's bring him on. Dave.
Please welcome.
Hello.
Woo! Host and producer of the CISO Series. Round of applause. How's it
Yay, there you go.
going?
It is going well. Thank you for having me on.
Wonderful. So wanted to just kick this off. Can you just talk to us a little bit? Because you've got a lot of experience, just as Tyler said, in the written word, the spoken word. You've also written for comedy and whatnots and done your own stints. So wanted to just hear a little bit about your background, your journey going from tech coverage as a journalist into content marketing, and then now you're focusing on cybersecurity.
I have experience in three areas. I have experience in technology. As being an IT guy very early on, way back. As a technology journalist, I've been in more than 40, 50 media outlets, print, radio, TV, online. I've also worked in advertising and marketing at traditional ad agencies. And I also worked in entertainment. I worked as a stand-up comedian, was a comedy writer too. So all of this stuff has kind of merged together, if you will. I was able to merge the entertainment stuff. I was able to merge the writing, the experience, and also in the marketing as well. And then CISO Series really was just an opportunity that I saw. I didn't really plan it, but it was just something I saw in the market. I started to sort of say, I want to own the conversation. And then I realized there was even a greater opportunity there. And so that's how it sort of flourished, if you will.
Yeah. So
Nice.
David, I want to go back in time.
Sure.
First of all, like any good journalist, which I do not claim to be a good journalist, I don't even claim to be a journalist. I'm a marketing guy first and foremost. But like any good journalist, you have to research your guest and you have to dig into their background a little bit. And I dug into some of your video background and I saw the funniest damn skit. You were previously doing stand up many years ago. How long did you do
Many.
stand up for?
I did stand up for about 12 years and I stopped about 17 years ago. That's kind of, you can do some math there and figure out how old I am too.
Holy
Uh,
smokes, David.
so I did it for quite some time. There was a period of time it was my only form of income, but I was not pulling down much money at the time and I was touring. And many of my friends have gone on to enormous success from back then. Um, I will say this: it's something I did. I really enjoyed it when I did it. I have some of my absolute best friends are from that time. I am so glad I'm not doing it anymore, though.
Yeah, no,
That
that's absolutely crazy, and in particular, and I don't know if we can tweet this. We'll have Tyler Peterson, our super producer, figure out whether we can tweet this out or not quickly. But the link to you with the Sims jokes. I don't know if
Oh yeah,
you're
that so quick story about that.
so freaking funny, man.
I had dinner with Will Wright, who is the creator of The Sims, with him and his wife. I was among some other people, and I mentioned him. He goes, and this was many years ago. It wasn't too long after I was doing that joke, and I said, I do a bit about your game on stage, and I sent it to him. I didn't hear back from him directly, but I heard from his wife, and I heard that he got a big kick out of it.
Wow, that's so freaking funny. I'm actually pasting to our super producer now the YouTube link that'll take you right to the Sims bit stand up from San Francisco Punchline by David Spark. It's really freaking funny. Check it out. He also has a lot of old school comedy. I want to start there. I want to talk a little
Mhm.
bit about. Do you have any famous friends that you can share without outing them as famous friends from the old school comedy
Well,
days
I
of
don't
that
want
long ago?
to. I don't want to name drop.
Don't.
It's
Hey,
just,
this isn't
but
name
they're all
drop if you're
people you know.
asked.
Let's just say if they were big in San Francisco in the '90s,
Which is a
we all
super
knew each
hotbed
other.
back then. That's a
What?
hotbed. That was a
Yeah, it
hotbed
was
of
a hotbed.
comedy.
I knew everybody back then. They all knew me. We all knew each other. Everybody knew each other at that time, and so that was yeah. I was doing stand up in the '90s back
Gosh,
then.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in a lot of those conversations. That had to be a freaking blast. And so, oh, link is in the chat, says super producer Tyler Peterson. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Um, you know, so then career wise, well, and I guess it overlaps because you did it for 17 years. You did it amongst other things.
Well, I did for
You were not,
12 years. 17 years was the last time I really did it.
got you.
But I will say
Um,
this: that every now and then I'll get a hosting gig or something like, and every now and
So
then I
you
get a
keep in
chance.
touch with it. You keep it alive.
Well, if like someone will ask me to do an MC gig, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get a chance to sit in. And I'll write down some opening jokes,
ah,
And I used to do, if you're familiar with the Jewish holiday Purim, I used to do. We at my synagogue, I was a member of a huge synagogue, and I used to host an MC that show. So it gave me an opportunity. Oh, I'll write, an opening monologue and do some jokes for that. And then also I had a very successful comedian friend who actually had to do a corporate gig, and I wrote some jokes for him for that gig. So every now and then I get an opportunity to do some joke writing, and there's no question if you don't do it for a while, you lose that muscle. But once you sort of get it rolling again, the muscle starts coming back to
yeah.
do it.
Absolutely. And then from there, well, like I said, it overlapped. It overlapped. So it's not like you did that and then switched cold turkey into doing
Yeah.
television related things. So at some point in there, you were also doing tech TV, which brings me back to my kind of golden era of early in my career, where you were on Tech TV and ZDNet
Yeah.
and the
ZDTV.
security show.
ZDTV became Tech TV. They just changed their name.
Got it. And even ZDTV in particular, there was a security show on there with oh, I'm sure you know the name of the guy, super famous. Everybody from that era
With
knew
Leo
him.
Laporte, you're talking about?
That's the guy. Yeah,
So
Leo
it wasn't
Laporte.
he's got a security show on his new network on Twit.
Ah, okay.
So we didn't have a specific security show, but they had a show called Screensavers, another show called
I
Call for
remember it.
Help.
Yep,
And
I
so yeah,
remember
I
that
worked on
too.
both. So I was like the editorial manager, director. I don't even know exactly what the title, but essentially I worked on the editorial department for that network, and that was a ton of fun. That was a really great time, and some of my best friends still are from, working there. And in fact, I just hired. Interesting, at RSA, I just hired a woman who I used to work with on one of the shows. She does live streaming now, and she produced a live stream that we did at RSA. And it was a thrill to, and we worked together at
Yeah.
CDTV.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny. Back early in my career, I came up through a slightly different career. I came up through offensive security style work and pen
Hmm.
testing, and I played and was involved in one that captured a flag at DEF CON in like '97 and '98, and it's the same kind of thing. The formidable people that you meet back in those days in your formidable time of your career when you're just forming it, they'll be around forever. Those people will be around forever.
Yeah, yeah.
You can still
And
leverage those contacts and friendships and
yeah, and it's amazing what everyone else has gone on to. A lot of some of them have gone
yep.
on to some phenomenal success, but there was something quite unique at that time because this goes back to 1998. That's when the television network actually launched. I think might have been April of
Yep.
'98. And prior to that, the amount of technology information on video was little to nothing. You
Hmm.
had CNET that was doing some stuff. They had this virtual character called Dev, which was, by the way, voiced by Leo Laporte.
Yep.
Um, and then there was something on PBS called Computer Chronicles,
Hmm.
and that was pretty much it. And then there was a little bit of stuff that Leo was doing on radio, but there wasn't much there. So this was quite an endeavor to do a full 24-hour cable television network. So what was interesting is you had little to no people who worked in technology who had any television experience whatsoever. I mean, none. And then you're like, well, we need to put on a television show. We need to hire people who know television. So what happened was the whole network was comprised of two types of people. People who worked in local television who knew how to actually produce television. And then people who worked in magazines like myself. I was at the time writing for PC Computing magazine,
Oh yeah.
and which had like a million circulation at the time. It's
Hmm.
non-existent. All of Ziff Davis is pretty much non-existent
Hmm.
now. Um, and you had these two groups, and there was this mutual respect from the television people of the technology people and what they knew because we were the content on the air. But then vice versa, we didn't know squat about television and how to produce television. So we had mutual respect back the other way. And it was a really warm community. And I remember daily I would go to work just and be laughing all day at work. We would have a great time.
Gosh, those are absolutely the best days. Um, Ashley, did you want to take the next question? You want me to keep driving? Because I can drive for days.
I was actually curious, how did you then get hooked on the cyber? How did you get the cyber bug
So
to
cybersecurity, honestly, so I started a business about 5 years after I left ZD or Tech TV. It was then called Tech TV at the time, and I started my own content marketing agency called Spark Media Solutions. And at the time, the whole concept of it was foreign to people. So the sales cycle, when I was trying to sell my services, was trying to sell the concept of content marketing.
Mhm.
Something very unusual happened in 2013. I lost all of my clients, every single one of them. I didn't have one left.
Ouch.
And so I started in 2007. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what the heck happened? And then it was one of the things that creeps on you slowly. You don't see, it doesn't all of a sudden happen at once. And then I just looked out back at all of my previous clients and I was like, wait a second. When I started, they didn't have a content marketing person at all. None.
Mhm.
Zero. Now they all have an entire department. So they went from zero to an entire department from 2007 to 2012, really, is what
Mhm.
happened. And it didn't dawn on me that that's what happened. So what happened, I had to shift my business at the time and realize I have to sell that I do this specific kind of content marketing better than you do. And
Mhm.
we had certain styles of videos, like our man on the street style videos, which became most well known for. I produced like 200 of those.
Wow.
Um, and then I was able to kick the business back into gear. But it was very unusual. No one had it, and then everyone had it. And it wasn't just so before it was just, oh, let me get some of your budget. Now it was, oh, no, they've already budgeted content marketing. You have to prove that what you're going to do is better than what we
Mm.
can already do, which was a
Mhm.
tougher sale. In
Mhm.
the process of that, doing all that work, all my clients were B2B technology companies, and I had a lot of cybersecurity clients. Over the years, I had about 8 to 10 cybersecurity clients, and I would go to RSA every year and I would shoot lots of videos. I mean, I did stuff for Tenable and for Tripwire,
Hmm.
and oh god, I can't remember all the other companies I did work for there, but Riverbed, I think
Hmm.
actually. Um, And every single time I had a conversation with one of them, I'd ask the classic question of, well, we're going to make these videos, these articles, these, whatever for you. What's the
Deliverables, yeah.
audience you want to reach?
Mm-hmm.
And or who do you want to reach? Who is it we're targeting? And
Mm-hmm.
every single one of them said it as if they came up with it themselves. You know what? We've been thinking about this, and we did a little research, and we think we're going to go after the CISO.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you're the one's going to do it. And I was like, do you know you're all doing this? Like, have you
Uh-huh.
talked to each other about this? Because you're all doing this.
Yep.
You didn't just come up with it. So that's when this phenomenon, I started to realize that there's this thing going on between CISOs and vendors. And I was going to write about it for Forbes at the time for the contributor series. And I asked an analyst friend of mine about this, and he goes, do you know this guy, Mike Johnson? I go, no, who's he? And he goes, oh, he's the CISO for Lyft. And he goes, yeah, he writes about this on LinkedIn. And I saw it. And every time he posted about it, thousands of likes and hundreds of comments. And so that just validated what I was thinking. I'm like, there's something here. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was essentially the genesis of it all.
Nice. And then as you started that podcast, I think when you were talking about it on the Defense in Depth recap of the
June of
year.
2018 is when we
Yep.
started.
Very nice. You also ended up bringing up another host who also
Right.
was in
We
the same
started
boat.
that one in January 2019. So the problem with this was originally called the CISO Security Vendor Relationship Podcast. Just flows
Mm-hmm.
off the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Literally no one called it by its correct name. Absolutely no one. Not one person ever called it by its
I'm
correct
pretty
name.
sure everybody I talked to was like, "It's David Sparks' show."
Or
That
David
one.
Sparks, whatever. No, and it's like, and it took me years to say, David, change the damn name of the show. So I did change the name of the show ultimately to just the CISO Series podcast. But while the show was good and we were doing fine with the show, it had some major shortcomings, and that was we did 5 segments, and each segment lasted about 5 minutes each. That
Mm-hmm.
means we went in depth on nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Alan Alford was an early guest, and he was so unbelievably good on the microphone. And it was like, and we just started talking. I go, I want to get you on. I have to figure out the vehicle for you. I need, and then I came up with this concept of Defense in Depth, where we would just do a single topic, go in depth. But the key hook of this was we'd only do something that we knew the audience was interested in, and the way we
Mm-hmm.
validated that was we would do a show based on an existing online discussion. If we saw an online discussion that had, 50 comments or more in it, we're like, that's a
Mm-hmm.
show right there. And we would build our entire show based on that discussion.
Whoa.
So,
Okay.
let me follow up on that. So, it's one thing I think to pick topics based on like popular discussions. I think it's super smart, but there's more to a successful show, a successful podcast, and I've been doing podcasting now for a couple of years at
Well,
best,
I had
right?
a bunch of failures before this. We didn't
Well,
talk
good.
about that.
This
I've done a ton of
question
shows before this that failed.
this question's pertinent to that then. This fits very well. So I've only been doing podcasting a couple of years, right? I'm late to the game. I'm definitely not an OG content guy. Although, I wish I would have kept all the content I've created since the 90s. I probably would have a hell of a amazing tome of stuff to do. But I was the type of guy that would write something, put it out, and then move to some new platform, delete all the old garbage, right? And then you just never get anywhere
Mhm.
that way. Anyways, other than picking good content, which obviously is key, you have to pick good content that your audience likes. What are the other, like, if you had to distill it down to 1, 2, 3, whatever the magic number of keys to success, particularly with the cybersecurity audience, right? We had a couple of phenomenal guests recently. Dan Meisler, we had Clint Gibbler, two
Measler.
phenomenal. Sorry, Meisler. I'm sorry, Dan. I always do that. My God, I just mutilated his name. But Dan Meisler, Clint Gibbler, we've had some really, really good content creators on, and they're all doing newsletters now. And, you know, for them, it's kind of a continuous drumbeat kind of thing that they said was their key to success. What's your key to success other than, of course, having great content?
So Clint, I've met. He's great. He
He is
does the
awesome.
TLDR newsletter. He's awesome. Um, there's no question. The consistency is it. I mean, this is one of the major problems when you are a marketer and you think only in campaigns.
Mhm.
It's like for it's very, very hard to get an audience. It's extremely difficult. And one of the things that's nice about doing shows and podcasts is I can look at my traffic numbers and see that they're consistent. So like
Mhm.
when someone buys a sponsorship, I go, this is what you're going to get, because this is like it doesn't fluctuate a ton. This is what you're going to get. And so I know to do that. Now, conversely, what I was doing before when I didn't have an audience, I would create media and I would be like, throw it over the wall, like, you figure out who's going to watch this.
Mhm.
Not my problem, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's not nearly as attractive, to tell you the honest truth. Um, the I will say the big thing though is brand. I can't stress that enough, and this may come out as a red herring, but hire a damn good designer. We got a great good designer. I so like her work. In fact, I think your logo and your opening music is great. Thank you for not using that traditional digital opening music. Drives me crazy.
Same.
Yep,
I wanted
I
something
absolutely.
that was
absolutely
groovy.
hate
Thank
that.
you, design team.
Yes,
Gave
Yeah,
design team,
one.
2
kudos to your
thumbs up.
design team. They
Yeah.
did a good job. I like the logo. I like the opening music. You've got a good brand here. I, you, the thing is, I can't stress the importance of people being comfortable with your brand, and it involves your music, and involves your logo, it involves how you present it, how you write it, and yeah, it's consistency. I mean, I've had people come to me and goes, "Well, how often do I have to do a show?" And I'm like, "Well, you've already lost because you're asking that question." You know, like the way you know what our most successful show is? The show we have that's daily. We have a daily
Mhm.
show that's 6 minutes
Because
long. That's
people
our most
expect it.
successful show.
Hmm.
It's growing like crazy. It's grown over tenfold since we launched it. I mean, it's and because it's daily. You want to be successful, release stuff daily and have it as part of a brand and a
Mhm.
subscription and no one thing, but you're going to grow an audience over time. Now, the value of that is once you've done that, it is something you've built up. You don't have to keep spending ad dollars every month to bring an audience to it. It's something you built up, but it
Mhm.
takes time. And I mean, I've worked in advertising. Nobody thinks beyond 6 weeks.
Mhm.
They just
Hmm.
don't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And if
Ashley
you
had
want to do
a
this, you got to think. You got to think. I'm way beyond 6 weeks.
yeah, long term, and Ashley had a stat, when we were on our episode 10 of cyber therapy. What was the do you remember off the top of your head, Ashley, what the percentage of shows that make it
I
to
just
episode 10?
reviewed this. It was 50 something percent last longer than 10 episodes. So most people quit before they get to episode 10.
Really,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
unbelievable.
And
Yeah,
then
so
of the people who have gone past that, I think only like a quarter of them actually make it past episode 50. So the people who stick with it will stick with it long term, but like the biggest drop off is between
What I now
at episode
I've
10.
done. I think all my shows have gone past episode 10, but I've failed because the classic technique is I've got this great idea. I'm going to produce a show. I'm producing the show. I'm publishing it. Nobody knows what the hell it is. Nobody's listening. My traffic numbers are pathetic. I'm now depressed. Why should I keep doing this if nobody's listening? I mean, everyone goes through that.
Yep.
Yes.
So, but I was fortunate when I launched my show is that I saw the audience before I even came up with the show idea.
Yeah,
Hmm.
And
for the CISO shows, yeah, right?
yeah. So easier said than done. Like, just find your audience first. Simple as that. Which, by the way, anyone who has success who then reverse engineers and tells you, just do what I did, I want to punch them in the nose because it does not work that easily. I'll tell you, I was on a panel discussion with a woman from Tiny Prints. They're the ones who print up, t-shirt,
Yeah.
branded T-shirts and mugs and things like that. And
Hmm.
I was on a panel, and they showed this like parody, or they made this video showing people wearing like John McCain and Obama T-shirts, which gives you an idea how long ago this was. And or was it Obama and McCain? Yeah, I think it was. And or maybe it was somebody else. But anyways, they were wearing T-shirts and they took them off, and they were all had different shirts, showing one was Republican, one was Democrat. And she goes, it only costs us like $300 or $500 to do this. And she said it like, and you should do that too. And we got 1 million views on it. To which I said, if it was that successful and it only cost you $300 to do it, then why don't you do it every day? And I
Exactly.
go, the reason is because you
Uh-huh.
can't. You
Yep.
can't. You got
It's not
lucky once. And
Yeah.
also
Yep.
your brand lends itself to that. Not everybody's brand lends itself to that. So when I
Yep.
say how I did it successful, I know it's not easy. You don't all of a sudden discover audiences. You know,
Absolutely.
it
I
doesn't
think that goes
happen like
across the
that.
board. I think that goes across the board with anything, right? So, like, discovering audience is one thing. Like, even just building startup companies, which you have experience in, right? Because your startup companies are specifically around this particular topic, but they're startup companies, just like anything else, right? You're running a business, and you still have to understand how to build a business. And so, I do a lot of work for young cybersecurity startups as an investor and advisor, and they always come to me and they go, "Okay, tell us exactly what you did at your last two companies to make them hyper successful and to build the brand and get it off the ground." And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, I'm not going to give you that playbook because that playbook does not exist. And if I give you that playbook, you're going to fail because it's not going to match your go to market, your product, all of the different variables that are within your environment that you have to design your playbook for, right? And it sounds like it's the exact same thing. You have to find out what fits all the variables about what you're trying to deliver, the content type, the frequency, the audience, and you have to understand all of that to create what ends up being the output that gets consumed.
My big thing when you're starting out, find the first 10 people who love you and just be as good to them as you possibly can. I can't stress it
Hmm.
enough. People don't get this. Half of my job is conversing with everybody who listens to our shows. I do it with everyone. And and I learned this actually from another producer friend of mine, Jim Louderback, who used to be the general manager of VidCon, and he was actually my boss over at Tech TV and
Hmm.
ZDTV. Um, he told me this was when he was with a network called Revision 3. I asked him, what time do your producers spend just engaging with the audience? And he said, about half. Half of their time is spent just engaging with the audience. And this is the weird thing. Like when people think about, oh, we need lots more names to put into our funnel to send more spam. I'm like, what if you were to spend that time just doing one-on-one engagement with people? Just, and it doesn't have to be selling your crap. Just make the positive connection, make the relationship. Just think about if you were just doing that every day, what an amazing salesperson you would become. You'd be unbelievable. You'd be unstoppable
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
if
in
you
the
just focus
book,
on that.
I think there is a book that we were reading when I first started at JupiterOne a couple years ago, and I think it was called Hyperscale or
Yeah.
Hypergrowth. Hypergrowth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And one of the keys that they said in there is basically to do the stuff that's not scalable, right? Listening to your customer and doing the things that take the extra time. But that's how you just learn directly from
everyone
who you're
every
selling to, right?
every time I send messages out to people saying, "Hey," on LinkedIn goes, "Hey, join our event happening," or "Hey, did this," and I go, "Are you part? Am I part of some spam?" I go, "No, it's actually me sending
It's
it to you.
literally me.
Like you don't get it. There's nothing I'm scaling. It's actually me doing the work."
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, so it sounds like you spent the way you approach it. And again, there's no blueprint, right? There's no like, here's exactly what you do. But it sounds like kind
Well,
of the
if
way
you're
you.
fortunate, all I'll say is if you're fortunate to discover your audience, like know what your pain points and they're yelling, oh my God, go wild on it. If
Interesting.
you're fortunate to discover that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we need to focus on discovering that for the cyber therapy people. And we need to sit there and talk to all the people that have loved us so far, which is like
Yeah,
all 8 of you that have subscribed. I'm going to come to your house and give you a big hug as soon as possible.
that would work.
As safe as possible, too, please.
Exactly. I'll distance hug you. Um, Actually, I want to get back to a comment you made earlier, David, that I didn't double click on. I want to double click on um, failures. Tell me about the
Hmm.
biggest failures you had, either in starting CISO series, which is like one set of failures,
Well, the CISO
or in your
series
career as
launched
a whole.
because of a failure.
Okay.
I so the irony is I did something stupid in that I crossed a boundary with RSA and I got kicked off the press list. And because I someone was pitching me stuff and I said if you got to, and this was before CISO series had become a brand and a product and
Hmm.
everything. And as a result, this got back to my editor at Forbes and I got booted off of Forbes.
Ooh.
Wow.
It was
Ouch.
a big hit. And I was like, oh my God, what have I just done? Like it was like I was panicking because of work and business, and everyone's done something stupid
Absolutely.
where
Yeah.
you're panicking about work. I'm sure salespeople have gotten desperate and I got stupid and I did something incredibly stupid. But it realized I'm like, well, I still have this audience. It's still working. I know it's happening. So I said, let me see what I can do next with this. And it was like, I had to find, and when I started the show, I was on another media channel, which I spent a few months on, and then we moved on, and I realized I had enough legs, and I started my own brand, and that was October of 2018. But that was the biggest failure. But it was ironic in that had I not failed, and here's the thing, I don't know if I would have started CISO Series like this. I don't know.
Hmm.
I have no idea. And it was a good thing I made that stupid mistake because it turned
Mhm.
into a windfall.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I have had
And
moments
I will say,
of
every
those.
time just let me add, every time I've left something thinking I'm just going to screw something up, it's always led to something better.
Yeah,
Always.
I've had those same moments, right, where you're like, oh gosh, this is wrong, or this is bad, or this is a bad scenario for whatever reason, and you kind of it comes with age. Whenever I talk to younger people that haven't had those moments, they think it's the end of the world for you. And the first time it happens to yeah, Ashley raised her hand for those that are listening on audio. The first time it happens to you, you do think it's the end of the world. You're devastated.
Well,
But once
I'll
it's
say it's
happened
when
to
you
you
make
once
a
or
stupid
twice,
mistake and you know better. I knew better.
yeah, but even then, man, like once it's happened to you once or twice, you know you're a phoenix in this scenario. You know you'll rise, and there's
Hmm.
no point in getting too overly worked up, over too upset on a scenario.
Yeah.
Like it's okay, everybody makes mistakes, but you got to look at it and go. After you've done a couple of them and been burned a couple times for different things, you're like, all right, I'm going to phoenix this one too, just like I did all the other ones, and become bigger, better, faster, stronger, right? And so that's happened to me. It sounds like that happened to you, and that's fantastic results. That's about all you can look for, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, everything turned out well in the end, and the thing is, yeah, it's scary to leave something that seems that it was good for you, safe for you, but the only way you advance is you kind of move on. And I will also say this: the thing that I absolutely hate, and this is, I'm just pulling a red herring here, is, how you go into an interview at a company and they tell you, well, we like to promote from within. And then you work at the company and you realize, no, that's not what they do at all. They don't
Hmm.
promote anybody from within. Everybody who wants to get the next VP position gets hired from outside. So if I want to get promoted, I got to go. And that is a horrible, horrible message that companies send, and they do it all the time. It drives me crazy.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. For sure.
I've seen it
Ash,
so many times.
Ash, you got one? Or when we keep going?
Yes. So I wanted to circle back to what you were talking about brand. And
Hmm.
so thank you for all the compliments on our brand here for cyber therapy. But I wanted to understand, how do you measure the efficacy or the ROI of marketing your brand, right? Because it's very subjective and it's very much trying to get the attention of people that you may not already have the attention of. And so there's a lot of what they call vanity metrics, right? Of followers and whatnot. So in your mind, how do you measure the
Honestly,
ROI
I
of a
mean,
brand?
anecdotally, fortunately early on, I'll tell you this. This is not even about not even about CISO series. I knew when
Hmm.
my original business that I launched, Spark Media Solutions, was going to take off.
Hmm.
Was I remember people started, because I started producing a lot of media online, and I wasn't, and a lot of stuff I was doing for free or for very little money at the beginning. And I just remember talking to people and people would say to me, "My God, David, look, things must be going really great for you. Like, I'm really impressed with all the things you're doing." Little did they know, things were not going well. They were not going well at all. They were going very poorly. But
Uh-huh.
I realized that's the trick. You have to make them believe things are going well. And at that
Hmm.
point, things kick into gear. And lo and behold, very shortly after that, after I heard people saying that, things started kicking into gear. So the sign of your brand doing well is people are talking about you and they're recognizing you for the
Hmm.
work that you're doing. If that's happening, get ready. The next thing, the success is going to follow in suit. It
Yep,
will.
and that's
Okay.
that's not just media. That's not just what you build. That's every business and every marketing venture I've ever done. You feel that vibe, you feel that buzz, you hear
Yeah.
people talking, and then all of a sudden you make that next leap.
And did you, and was it a situation truly like people were saying we're impressed like how well things were going well for you, and they're like they don't know the truth here,
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely had those moments for sure where there's been like, oh, great, we got the veneer shiny nice, but then there's also been the times when the company's doing well, the business is doing fantastic as well, and you hit that moment of extra talk, and that's where you take that brand buzz to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that I am just curious about, and because I've never been on a rocket ship like this before, so I'm like learning everything as I go. But, sometimes when you're saying you're putting messages out into the market around your brand, it can sound very repetitive, right? And to you, it feels like you're just beating the same drum, but it just sounds like uninteresting because you've said it so many times. But what I'm hearing is if you just keep going, it'll eventually kick
Yeah, but there's also, I mean,
people.
like we'll hit the same topics again and again and again on our shows, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
we got what's the new twist on this? What's the new twist on this?
Hmm.
And
Uh-huh.
also,
What's the
I
new
have to
angle?
acknowledge that we've talked about it before, kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's always my fear. I don't want to bore the audience too.
Right,
So
right.
that is, and that's why we introduce. And I'm thrilled. I'm looking forward to the game that you have. We introduce a lot of games into our shows,
Oh, cool.
and and the thing is, what we've discovered, especially on our Friday show, because we invite a lot of people to participate on our Friday shows, is the cybersecurity community is really funny if you give them the
Yeah.
opportunity to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we learned that we play this game called Best Bad Idea, where people come up with the worst way to handle, that week's topic.
Uh-huh.
And what it becomes, and this is what I love about the game, because they all submit their stuff, via the chat,
Hmm.
or their quote entries via the chat, and we collect them and turn it into a poll. Um, but what you realize is they're all playing this game of one upping. Like someone
Hmm.
will come up with a funny thing. It was like, well, no, I got one worse than yours. No, wait, I got one worse than yours. And it just becomes a really funny game of one upmanship.
Yeah, no, I definitely have found that, in creating content, I mean, essentially, we're all content creators in this world, right? And that's what
Hmm.
we build, and people consume what we do, and we turn it
If
into
you've written an
businesses, right?
email, had a phone call, you've created content.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
what I've found is that, especially in these last three or four interviews that we've done on cyber therapy, where we've really done a content creators stream of interviews. Um, One thing that I have found is being true to your voice and who you are as a content creator, and being okay with you saying, this is who I am, this is the content that I create, and just being true to what makes you happy also tends to find the people that are interested in that content and interested in consuming it in the way that you're interested in putting it out, right? And again, it's kind of like, hey, my audience, like there's a certain level of finding your audience appropriately, like you achieve, but then there's also the audience finding where it's like, I'm true to myself. I'm going to be, hey, this is my personality and this is just who I am. And if you like it, that's great. And your audience ends up finding you. And I think that that's one of the things that I've learned in the content creation, certainly interviews to date, but then, coupled with my own experience as a content creator. So that being said, though, I do want to ask a bit of a rewind question on the back of content as a theory. You're an OG content guy, man. You've been around forever. You've been creating content for technology, for
Well,
cybersecurity.
I was a traditional tech journalist for many years too.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, you go back in time further than just about anybody that I've ever spoken to when it comes to content creation, and I'm putting that in air quotes because it's a broad definition of content creation today. So you've seen the shifts, written word, TV, different online media versions, right? All the way to what we have today, where we have this
Hmm.
influencer-based marketing, TikTok, and these short form things that you're creating. If you were to say, here's what the current thing is that I think's hot as hell, that's super cool, that nobody's really tapping in cybersecurity to market themselves, what would that be? And then I'm going to take it one step further and ask you, look forward and tell me, are we going to continue to squeeze the attention deficit disorder problem down to seconds of content, or are we going to, is there going to be a backlash to that and have the future look like X?
I will not tell you we actually have some plans in place, and I'm not going to
Don't
tell
tell
you
me the
what they
plans.
are.
I don't want to
I'm
ruin
not telling
anything
you
you
plans,
got
but
going.
here's what I suggest, and this is what I did when I was creating my shows. Look for what's missing in the market. Perfect example is our show Cybersecurity Headlines. I was like, a friend of mine actually, and I'll give total credit, Tom Merritt, he has a show called Daily Tech News Show, and then he has a show that's also a headline show. His Daily Tech News Show is about 30 minutes, and then he has a headline show that's just 5 minutes long. And I was looking and it's like, is there an equivalent of a 5-minute show for cybersecurity? There are some daily shows, but they're long. And then
Hmm.
there was one show, I think it was being made out of Canada, that was like 3 days a week. And it's like, we need a daily, the cybersecurity
Hmm.
market's big enough. It can support a daily news show, but it needs to be really short. And one of the things also we discovered during the pandemic, our download numbers, and I'm sure everyone got hit like this, our download numbers got hit hard
Hmm.
I
because
believe it.
not most people, but a good percentage of people who consume podcasts do it during their commute. And we
Mm-hmm.
saw literally like a step down on our download numbers. Thankfully, things have come back, but that really was a big hit. What was amazing about this show, because it's only 6 minutes long, is you don't need a commute to consume it. And there was
Mm-hmm.
serious demand for just give me 6 minutes of the news. That's it. And I want you to find the top stories. I don't want to have to go through 50 stories to find the top eight. You go through 50 and find the
Hmm.
top eight. And that's essentially what my reporters I have 3 phenomenal reporters who do this. And that is my suggestion. And also when I developed my other shows, I was looking stylistically at what they were doing and what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. But my big advice is find out what's missing in the market. What is the thing that would fill a gap? You would think, oh, there's already 50 shows on. There's nothing available. Look, I started cybersecurity headlines when there was already 50 shows on,
Hmm.
if not
Mm-hmm.
more, and it's
Mm-hmm.
done extraordinarily well. There's always a hole that can be filled.
Yeah, and that goes right to exactly what we're seeing with some of the content creation, right? So Clint and Daniel Miesler, both of them are doing highlight style like lists of links of content that they've read and consumed with like 2 sentences description, bang, 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 their analysis, their analysis. It's like this short, punchy,
Curated.
Right,
curated type
right.
of data.
And that's a format that people, and that's the other thing. Don't try to second guess how people want to consume the thing. Oh, don't want it in 1 hour. They only wanted 2 minutes. They wanted
Mhm.
this, they wanted that. There's a reason we've got 5 shows and we release 10 episodes a week, because we don't try to second guess our audience.
Yep.
We try to give it into every format that we can possibly offer and let them consume it in the way they want. And like I tell you, like we already have plans now for another show that's filling a niche that's not being filled, and also for other content formats that I think is kind of greenfield for cybersecurity. Um, but you know, it's out there. You just have to pay attention and look for it.
I love it. I love it. It's
And be
finding those. It's
consistent.
finding the white space, finding the gaps, and then follow through and consistency. So, with that, I think we're bumping up against around the 43-minute mark, right on time. And this is the point at which we do roll out our fun game. Which, right from the get go, even did we do a game in episode 1? I think we did a game in episode 2, right?
I don't remember what we did early on, to be
Basically
honest.
1
It's
or
all a
2,
blur.
super early, we started this concept of, look, we think that the cybersecurity universe is a little bit high on itself. We think they're a little bit too stodgy, and we wanted to be true to our personalities and who we are. And so we go ahead and we say, hey, we're going to put a fun game at the end. Sometimes the people will listen, sometimes they think it's boring and they'll drop off. Either way, we get to
Yeah.
enjoy a fun game. So, David, if you'd like to join us, we're going to kick off our
Yes, I
game
love
now.
games. I like to be a contestant too.
Let's go. Well, it's you and me because
Wonderful.
I
I'm
don't.
often the MC and I want to be the contestant.
You're the contestant today, and they don't
Yeah.
tell me what the game is. Like many, well, this they
Correct.
told me what the game is this time in our prep
Well, we
right
both heard
before,
at the
but
same time. It's on
exactly,
podcast.
they don't let me cheat. They I don't see anything ahead of time.
It's
Sometimes
like
the
how I do
games
the
are,
What's Worse games. My co-hosts and guests do not know what they are before I say them.
and that's the way it should be. So with that,
Oh,
Ashley, let's get this game
cool.
kicked off.
All right. Today we are playing trivia, and it is a podcasting trivia. And so
Good.
to
And I'm in trouble. I'm toast. I'm done. I'm playing podcasting trivia against the OG of
That doesn't mean I know
podcasting.
anything about podcasting. We were discussing. I'm pretty good at '80s pop culture trivia.
I would love to play 80s pop culture trivia with you one day, David. Either on your show or mine. We'll do a rerun and we'll do
There
that.
are these great bar trivia things, and I've done it during the pandemic. I bought them where you buy for like $10. You buy literally a PowerPoint of trivia games, and you could buy an '80s pack. And I ran trivia nights over Zoom for friends.
Oh my God, sounds like a
It
blast.
literally it's $10 of entertainment. It was fine.
It's worth every penny. All right,
Yeah.
Ashley, hit us.
Alrighty. So we're I think how we're gonna do this. Do we want to do one question a piece or the first person to answer it?
Let's
We
do
can
one
do either
question
style.
apiece. We'll do one question apiece. No speed.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So David, I'll start with you.
Oh, the other person can steal, of course.
Yeah, if we get it
Whatever
wrong.
way you want to do it.
Yeah, the other
Okay.
person.
I'm
can steal,
first.
Ash.
If I get it,
Yes.
is it always
If you get it
A
right.
B,
Was that?
or is it you come up with the answer? Is it multiple choice or is it A B? What is it?
These are all going to be multiple choice.
Okay.
And
So
the
I'll
other
give
person
you
can
the
steal if you
question,
get it
I
wrong.
will give you the options, and then you can choose the correct option.
Okay.
If you choose incorrectly, then I will pass it over to Tyler
Got
to
it.
steal.
There you go.
Cool. Okay. Question number 1. What was the first ever podcast? Was it A, a serialized story told one episode at a time?
Definitely not.
B, a daily podcast about life and programming? Or C, a series of interviews on blogging and politics?
I believe Dave, I don't know if it was the very first, but Dave Weiner was one of the very first podcasters. In fact, I think he coined the term, believe it or
Mhm.
not. So one was interviews on politics, and the other one was what?
The A was serialized story told one episode at a time. B was about life
Oh,
and
you broke up
programming.
there. Say that again. Say B again.
A daily podcast about life and programming.
I'm gonna go, and then C was interviews and politics.
Interviews on blogging and politics.
I'm gonna actually say B, life and programming.
That is incorrect.
Then it's gonna
I
be
was
C.
all over C the whole way. I'm stealing for C.
Okay, yes, you are correct. That is C. Tyler gets one.
By the way, serialized shows did not come for many years later. That was the
Those
thing. There
didn't
were
actually start to
many.
well, Serial is what made it big, right?
Well, there was a guy by the name of, oh God, I'm blanking on his name. He is a novelist. Scott Sigler is his name. He had, if not the first, one of the very first serialized shows, and he became an incredibly successful novelist because of it. And in fact, he got rejected by many publishers because he was serializing his books and putting them out for free. And they're like, we're losing sales because of that. Turns out they were 100% wrong. Those podcasts were marketing his books, and he became a
Yeah.
best-selling author because of them.
Absolutely
Idiots.
amazing.
They let
Oh.
him go.
Absolutely amazing.
Hey, actually, that's a good plug for potentially doing the audio podcast for our book, some of our books. So just keep
Do
that
it up.
keep that in mind, Tyler. Okay, Tyler,
This
question
goes
for
to
you.
Tyler first.
Yes, I get to go first. Let's hear it.
Pod-safe music means what? A, contains no foul language. B, any work which, through its licensing, allows its usage. C, audio which contains no malware.
100% B. It's licensing. And I know that because all of
He's
the YouTube
correct.
people always put music into something, or there's music in the background, and then they get hammered with a trademark violation, and they get their videos yanked constantly. All my vloggers that I watch get yanked at least once a month or once every other month for something.
Wow.
He's
Sad
correct.
day.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad we haven't got yanked for anything because our music is.
Because our
There you
music
go.
is, what did you call it? Pod safe? Our music is pod safe?
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay.
Good trivia question.
Question
Next
number
one.
3.
Go for it.
What company invented the MP3 technology? Was it A, Apple, B, Google, C, Fraunhofer Gesellschaft?
It's Fraunhofer Gesellschaft.
Yes.
Yes, very nice, considering I didn't know how to say it.
I knew you knew that the whole time, David. So that's why I nodded. I'm like, he knows this one too.
This one's Fraunhofer. It's not. In fact, Apple had its own proprietary audio format that, because they tried to essentially do digital rights management on it, because it would limit like the number of copies you could make of it. But then they gave up and just went MP3s and said the hell with it.
All right.
I
So
love
I'm
these
up.
interesting tidbits that we get.
What's the score, Ash? Give us the score update.
I think it's 1-1.
1-2. Tyler has 2.
No,
How does he have two? He's
yes,
only
I
right.
got,
Oh,
I got
yes,
your
because he
steal.
stole. I take that back.
So
You're right, he stole.
So just FYI, what are we playing to? Are we playing to 3, Ash? So is this
no,
Well,
there are
questions you
total of
got.
there are 9
we could go for days,
questions.
David. Oh, we got 9
the
questions.
days.
I
I didn't realize
I have
the
9 questions.
We
so
do have
it's
a finite
the best
number.
of 9
Okay.
questions. Yes.
All right. Fair answer.
And
all
then
right, keep going.
like if you want to do a bonus, like winner take all, I have a bonus question also.
All right. Let's hear the
But
next
right
one.
now I
Let's
have
go.
9. Okay. The term podcasting was first mentioned by who? A, Leo Laporte. B,
speak of the
Jake
devil.
Butterfield. C, Ben Hammersley.
iPod. So I'm going to guess it came from the concept of an iPod and iPod casting back in the day, which era-wise would be the early 2000s. I'm gonna say Laporte did it.
Definitely not.
Incorrect.
Oh,
Not
failure!
That is
Your
not
turn to
correct.
steal, David.
What were the other two names?
Jake Butterfield, Ben Hammersley.
I actually don't know. Dave Weiner, I thought was the guy who coined it. Actually, I thought it was him who coined it.
He's one of
But
the OG
he
originals.
is an original. I'm gonna just guess Ben Hammersley.
Yeah, good job.
Oh,
Great
purely
guess.
guess.
You had a 50-50 chance
I
there.
definitely knew it wasn't Leo. I worked with Leo. I would have known that. I was just actually on his show recently. I was on This Week in Tech.
Oh, so cool. How was
Nice.
it? Was it you have a good
It was a lot
time?
of fun. I had done it many years ago. I hadn't done it in a while, and I came back and did it again, and it was a lot of fun. He was
That's
a lot of fun.
fantastic.
He is a total pro. He's an OG.
Hey, at the end of the day, he's influential in my life. I mean, I remember watching him, when I was in my young 20s coming up, and he's a very influential man. So that's awesome.
All right. So we got split
We are
back to
2-2.
me again. 2-2.
Yes,
It's back to me again.
correct. Who was the first U.S. president to podcast? Was it
Ooh.
A, Barack Obama, B, George W. Bush, C, Bill Clinton?
I think it was Barack Obama.
Final answer?
That's my final answer. Yeah.
That is incorrect.
Oh, I would have lost the same answer. So give me the other two.
George W. Bush or Bill Clinton?
I'm going to go Clinton.
Nope, you're wrong. Also,
Both
it was
wrong.
George W. Bush.
Wow. I had the
Well,
opportunity.
No
you know what
points
it
on that
probably
one.
was. They just because he has the. Didn't he have the? They used to just have these weekly addresses, and those were probably just podcasted.
Oh,
That was
Yes,
goodness
and he was the
gracious.
first one to do his weekly address on a podcast.
Oh, goodness
There you go.
gracious.
As a podcast.
All
There
right.
you go.
All right. Back to David.
Back to me.
All right.
No, back to Tyler. It's Tyler this time.
Oh, Tyler.
Yeah, I
sorry.
was stealing. Yeah.
Okay. What is an ID3 tag?
ID3
A metal
tag.
necklace.
This I
ID3.
know.
Yeah, I do too.
A metal. Well, then what is it? I'm not even going to give you answers then.
It's the meta tag on an MP3 file.
Good job.
Yeah.
There you go.
Easy question.
Yeah, that one was easy because I hand entered and hand filled out hundreds of thousands of ID3 tags back in
As have I.
97 or something when I was cataloging all of my CDs onto
Mhm.
Did the
MP3s
same
and
thing.
ripping them all myself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
then
it's,
fixing
it's
the
an
stuff that
OG
you would
problem, I
download.
guess. Yeah.
Okay, next question. In 2005, Apple introduced podcasts into which version of iTunes? A, 5.0, B, 4.8, C, 4.9.
Oh, who the heck knows?
Yeah. You take your shot in
This
the
is
dark,
a
David.
very,
I'll
like-
follow.
4.8. I'm just guessing.
And I'm going to guess 4.9 right after him.
It's 4.9.
No, there you go. Tyler wins.
Yes. I would have
What's-
guessed. I would have guessed.
I'm not.
4.8
I'm
or
actually
something.
not an Apple user. I did have an original. I did have an iPod, and that's it. And what ingratiated me to my mother-in-law was when I showed her on one of those old styled iPods that have the scroll wheel. I showed her that you could fast forward or rewind by circling your finger back and forth.
Uh-huh.
And when I showed that to her, it's like I pulled a thorn out of her paw. It's like, oh my God. It was like I awakened something in her. And it's like, you have no idea what this means that you've shown me
amazing.
this. It was quite a revelation.
All right,
Revolutionary.
Ashley,
yes.
give us what question number are we on and what's the score?
I have no
We
idea.
have
I don't
2
either.
questions left plus a bonus question if you need it.
I think either I'm up one or we're tied. It's close.
He may be up
It
2
is-
because he got the last thing.
Correct.
Right.
So
Okay.
Tyler is up 4-2.
Okay.
4-2. So you're beating me
Yes.
by a whopping 2. Yeah.
With 2 to go, 2 questions to go. So I got them
2
dorming.
questions to go.
All right, best you can do is
I don't
tie,
know
David. Good luck.
Who's got it? Well, I got the last because I got the one about the 4.8, 4.9.
Yep. So
Oh,
it's
but
on
we
me.
both got that wrong. Oh no, he got it right. He got the
I
4.9
got a
right.
steal.
Yeah.
I got a luck box steal.
All right.
All right, let's see if you get this one. Who is the author of the RSS format? A, Adam Carolla. B, Douglas Engelbart. C, Dave Weiner.
Ooh, and so I know it's not Adam Carolla. Positive of that. But
Should have said
Weiner
Adam
was
Curry. That would have been that might have been a tough one.
yeah,
'cause
that
he-
might have dragged me in a little bit more than Adam Carolla. But you mentioned David Weiner
Yeah,
earlier, and I'm wondering. I'm going to take the shot because I have no idea, but I am going to take the shot that the OG you were thinking of is this guy, David Weiner.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow, you are paying so close attention to this whole episode. I'm so proud of you, Tyler.
I'm on
yes.
it. I'm on my game. I'm on my game. What
There
can I
you go.
say?
Dave Weiner is the author of RSS
So that
format.
locks me up as the podcast
You are the
trivia
podcast
champ.
champ.
But we do have
Thank
one.
Congratulations
you.
there, Tyler.
Thank you, thank you. I
Very
will
good.
put that
I
up.
should have kept my mouth shut about Dave Weiner. Is what I should have done.
So your little side story shot you in the foot there. Help me out.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and we'll ask the last question. Question number 9. We have 9 questions. We'll ask the last one for a double or nothing winner take all answer.
All
And
right,
and
go ahead.
Okay.
David gets first crack. Let's go.
Okay. When is International Podcast Day?
Oh, jeez. Who the heck knows?
It is multiple choice. You get a shot in the dark. Let's hear it.
August 26th, September 30th, November 11th.
I'll say November 11th.
September 30th
That was my second
is
guess.
the actual answer. Yes.
There you go. Congratulations, Tyler. Good job.
Thank you. I
This has been
definitely
it's fun. I love playing the games. It's
I
great.
love
Thank
that
you. That
too.
was
I
a really good
definitely
game, Ashley. I appreciate it.
I definitely
thank
did
you
not
for
deserve that
enjoying.
championship. I had some lucky shots from the 3-point line that
It's-
got me over the hump here.
No, you bask in your glory, Tyler. Bask in it.
David, thank you so much. I really sincerely appreciate you coming on our show. It takes a certain type of individual to build what you've built. It's
I
pretty
appreciate it.
amazing
We're still
stuff.
working on it. I have a great team behind me. Don't give me all the credit. A lot of people give me credit. I have a phenomenal team that works behind me. They do excellent work. Couldn't be
Yep.
more proud of them.
If
Everyone's
if
kicking ass.
anybody gets that, I do. Thank you, Ashley, for your help. Thank you, Tyler Peterson in the background. And here's where we test that he's actually paying attention to the show, because we're gonna do the end of the show routine. David, I kick my guest off. I give you the boot to the curb, and then we're gonna play the closeout music, and we'll see you later.
All
Thank
right.
you, David. Get the heck off my show.
I'm out of here.
All right, Ash, that was awesome. That game was so much fun. I love playing that with David. It's like, you're playing against, one of the OGs of podcasting here, and I got lucky. I do not deserve this
You learned a
championship,
lot
but
from him through the course.
I
And
did. I
it took it to
listened.
your advantage.
I listened.
So,
I listened. All right. What do we got going on for the next couple weeks? I think we're still working on a guest for the 19th. Is that correct?
yes. So we've got an opening on the 19th. We will have a guest. It'll be a surprise. So I'm not giving you a heads up right now. But stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter, Cybertherapy TV, for JupiterOne. Follow us on LinkedIn. You'll get notified there for our next episode of Cybertherapy. And also, just to cross pollinate between the two shows, we've also got 100x Engineering next week, which will be great, featuring one of our product designers, actually. So
Awesome.
definitely, if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, to following us on socials, you'll get notified when those go live.
Ashley,
So
thank
stay
you
tuned.
so much. Tyler P,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Let's wrap this thing up. Thank you, guys. You guys go forth and have a great week. Thank you.